Hey guys, welcome.
Hello.
Welcome to the live show for Oathbringer, which is I actually have it this time. Everybody normally holds up the books, and I don't have it. Oh, I need to mute this. Oh, it's already muted. We're fine. This is the third book in the Stormlight Archive, which we have read for the Stormlight Readathon. Actually, as well, it's my favorite book of the year so far, which is really exciting. So I'm really excited to discuss everything. But this is the first time that the Stormlight Readathon has been on my channel. So if you guys just want to go around and introduce yourselves and maybe give your basic thoughts or like just the rating of the book as well.
Cool. Do you want me to start as I'm on the top or yeah? Go ahead. Okay, cool. So I'm Codie from Codie's Book Corner. I read this like over a year ago, so no new thoughts really. But this is my favorite book. It's my favorite series, my favorite book in the series. 5 stars, phenomenal. Excited to be here. Thank you all for having me.
You're very welcome.
Yes. Yes, my name's Catherine from the channel xCatherine now. This was my second time reading it. I read it back in actually November, right before, or my second time reading it was right before Rhythm of War came out. And it was fun to reread. It's still not my favorite in the Stormlight Archive. It's actually, yeah, I would say it's my least favorite, but even then, it's still so good to me and I love it. But I don't know. I'm excited to talk. I've probably forgotten a lot of things, even though it's only been like a month, but I'm excited. It's my favorite series.
Hi, I'm Jade from Jaded Reader. And I really enjoyed this one, but I think I actually agree, like with Catherine, it was not my favorite. And so far, I think has been my least favorite, which is weird because I thought the first one was going to be my least favorite, but this one, I had higher expectations this time, I think, because the second one is my favorite. I really liked everything in that one. And so I'm struggling between, it's not like a big deal. It's like a 4.5 to a 5. So yeah, there's no actual drama there, but
the bar is so high though that you're like, if I don't like it as much, it's like I still love it.
Yeah, I'm like the contemplation of taking off a half star is only to differentiate it from the other 5 stars. Like it's like, okay, are you a 5/5? Are you a 5? It's not really, yeah.
Totally fair. I stopped doing star ratings because I was like, I can't do this anymore, and I just can't. Like, there's so much that goes into it, so I just completely stopped. And with Stormlight, like all of them are 5 stars technically, but there's so much to pick apart because they're just so long. So I don't blame you. It's all good.
Yeah, it's all just made up. I'm just making things up.
I'm interested, like, because for me this was just obvious. It just seemed obviously the best that I've read so far. So I'm like really just thinking about the fact that like Catherine and Jade don't think it's the best so far. I'm like
flabbergasted.
Yeah. I do have like thoughts. So I think the first time I read it, actually, it was my favorite. I was like, oh my gosh, nothing's going to beat this. And the first time I read it was like 2 years ago. And then rereading it, I was like, oh, okay, now I see why there were just, I think pacing wise and okay. So we're still non-spoilery, I think so far, but I'll say the backstory with Dalinar within this book was like the thing that kept me the most engaged. Rereading it, I just remember like the stuff with Shadesmar and I guess the lack of Kaladin, and like I wanted to see more that let me see how I get my words across correctly. Like I still loved it so much, but the sort of like peak of the story was like the best part for me. It felt like all of the stuff leading up to it, I was just enjoying. Whereas with the first 2 books and then Rhythm of War, like all of the stuff leading up to the peak, I was just like there the whole time. Oathbringer, I felt a little more, I don't want to use the word desperate, but I'm just going to use it. I felt a little more desperate to kind of get to the point. I was like, I know what's going to happen and I want to get there. and rereading it because I already knew kind of what was going to happen. It was like, okay, yeah, I get it. I don't know if that makes any sense. My words are rambly, but I just like, I love this book so much, but compared to the first two, the journey was less enjoyable because I wanted to get to that peak so much. And now that I can compare it to Rhythm of War, I can say it's still like solid, but not up there. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. But
that was actually incredibly validating for me because that's pretty much what ended up happening for me.
Okay.
It was the pacing of I was so interested. The irony of the journey is the best part. Yeah, the journey to destination quote is like spot on. But yeah, no, that was like the main thing for me is I was so interested in Dalinar's backstory, like so immensely. I love Dalinar. He was one of my favorite characters from the first and the second one. So I was like, oh, cool, his backstory. And then I was like, oh, no, I don't want this. But I kept enjoying it.
Yeah.
So it was like I was just so intrigued by it. And then I was also really intrigued by all the other characters, but it felt like as I finished it, which was about 20 minutes ago, but that entire climax was so good that when I went back, I went, what happened? What was I doing for the past like 5 days? like what? There were so many things that were happening pacing wise that didn't match up with that lead up. I think it could have been streamlined better, but I feel like I might enjoy it more on a reread because I can just savor those moments because I'll know the climax is happening and I'll like know where it's going. But instead I was just like, where's Dalinar? Give me another Dalinar chapter. What's going on with this man? And I did enjoy all of those scenes like the most. So
I felt like this was the first point in the series where because like I've known Codie for a long time, and Codie always says that the Stormlight Archive is her favorite series. So I was expecting like really good things from the series going into it, especially because I read like the Final Empire and really loved that. But I feel like Oathbringer was the first part in the series where I really understood why people love it. And I cried 5 times during the end of Oathbringer, like 5 times.
Oh yeah, it's
emotional. I never cry at books, but yeah, it really hit me emotionally. I didn't even realize, especially some of the characters that I cried over, I didn't even realize I was attached to them until I started crying. And when I was reading that whole, I don't even know how many pages it was. I know I've written in my notes that chapter 115 is where things like start to kick off. So it's like, let's have a look, 118. It's a good like 150 pages of the end. And I had Curtis sat next to me, who's my boyfriend. And I was like gasping every 2 pages. And he was like, what is wrong with you? You need to calm down. And then I was going into like this big thing and telling him like all of the intricacies of the Cosmere and like people appearing and disappearing and like what was happening and why I was crying. And he was just like, no, you need to calm down. Like, what is wrong?
I love that so much. Do you mind me asking, like, after this book, or I guess like what is your perspective on every character now? Or do you feel like, do you like certain, I mean, Dalinar, this is Dalinar's book, but like, what are your opinions on Dalinar? Has your favorite character changed, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think that for me, it's like solidified Adolin as my favorite character.
Oh,
I love him.
I love that.
I'm really happy for you.
He's just the sweetest.
Okay, so I had a kind of a whirlwind with Dalinar because I was like, it's interesting because, like, yes, my favorite character did change, but he became my favorite when I met him because he had already changed. It's hard to say without spoiling everything, but I read his story arc is in reverse. So
yeah, people say I'll just use the word, he was redeemed before you knew what he did.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, wait, what do I do with this? I really had to I had to compare him to other characters that I disliked that had a similar story arc that did not go as well. And it was like, I had a time. And yeah, this is the first one I cried in, which I know that should just give it 5 stars, but the pacing in the first bit made it really difficult. I have to say Shallan is the other one where in the first book, I disliked her. In the second book, I was like, actually, I like you. You're pretty okay. You're fine. And I asserted that she was a Gemini. I didn't realize when I said that she was a Gemini how right I was. Now I just feel concerned for her. I felt stressed. Look, I was just like stressing for Shallan. I was like, are you gonna be okay? Pattern was stressing. Me and Pattern were like a very similar energy of just like a vibrating like nerve for Shallan, being like, Shallan, are you okay? So those are the 2 major changes. Otherwise, everyone kind of felt really consistent to me. Adolin stayed the same for me. Kaladin stayed the same for me. Still love Syl. Like everyone kind of stayed in place, but those 2 shifted a lot, and those were the 2 major feelings. I disliked Shallan as much as I liked Dalinar in the first book. So from that to that is pretty weird.
I like that. What about you, Codie?
Oh, well, it's difficult because after Rhythm of War, my opinions have changed slightly on certain characters, but I'm always just going to be a bae for Kaladin. Like, Kaladin is my life and soul, and yep, this is going to be difficult not to spoil things. Rhythm of War.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's definitely a big shift. Like, after Rhythm of War, you're like, oh, shoot. Like, I still love Dalinar, and Kaladin's still my favorite, and I like Oathbringer, I'll say. I always have enjoyed Shallan, and especially rereading, I've just really related to her in very interesting ways. And then after Oathbringer, and especially rereading it, I was like, I mean, I know this is horrible to say. I really like seeing characters suffer. Like, I genuinely, truly just, like, I'm concerned for her, and everyone is. Like, I don't know anybody who isn't concerned for Shallan, but more that, like, seeing her authentically struggle, I genuinely love. And I think that's one of my favorite things about Oathbringer is just her decline. And I'm like, I love seeing it because it's so real and it feels so real. Yeah, same with Syl. Adolin, I kind of keep the same. Like, I like Adolin, but I've never been like, oh, I adore Adolin. I
adore Adolin enough for everyone.
I'm so glad. Like, I know somebody who
someone needs to.
He's wonderful, and I love him, and I've enjoyed him more rereading it. I never like disliked Adolin. I just feel pretty like good, you know. But I don't know.
Adolin's like, I would chill out with Adolin. I would like get a drink with him. Definitely fight him, like in a duel, like a friendly duel. I liked all of his scenes. I just like, it's not like a strong. It's a very, very bro platonic feeling is what I feel for him.
Yes.
So
I didn't really fall for him until his interactions with Kaladin, and then I was like, yes, we can be buddies. Yes.
Yeah, see, that's my favorite. I love his interactions with Kaladin more than like I love their dynamic duo. I love the bromance. I love it. It's great.
It's so good.
I think my favorite thing about him in Oathbringer specifically is that he's just not bitter. That everybody else has things going on that he doesn't have going on, and he's still like a solid guy, even though everyone else is doing like great, amazing things, and he's still just like the same person kind of that he always was and has the same role to fulfill that he always did have. And I really like that he's not bitter about that, because I feel like if I was in his position, I would be bitter and I would be upset.
I think it's always really interesting. Like when I was reading through, like when we get Owlcrate in a room, and then we'd also see Adolin, like they both had like, well, while keeping it spoiler free, like they both kind of like were doing their own thing that what didn't seem like the main story and everything like that. And they reacted, they're almost mirror images of themselves, because Adolin really does just do his own thing, and he's like, I'm doing my own thing. Like, it's fine. I'm doing great at my own thing.
This comment is super accurate. Like, I think he has messed up things, but he's way too chill for how, like, messed up things are going on.
Yeah. No, no matter what he does, he's totally fine with just doing his own thing.
Yeah.
I do think we saw a little bit of insecurity from him in this one, though, especially like because should we just say that we're going into spoilers now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm struggling. Yes.
So yeah, this is your morning to vacate. But with the whole love triangle situation, which I'm glad that we cleared up, like so happy about that. His direct competition was Kaladin, and we saw a lot of insecurity in him, which I feel like he's come a long way from just disliking Kaladin and seeing him as a rival to still seeing him as competition for Shallan, but at the same time being willing to concede Shallan, like to Kaladin, if Shallan wanted to be with him, because Kaladin is also his friend. And he was insecure about the fact that Kaladin's like the bridge boy that can glow and fly and all of this stuff, and he's just himself and can't do anything aside from what he's always done, which I appreciated.
I like how
he was the prince, wasn't he? He was always the big guy in any room he walked into, and then that completely shifts.
I like how bridge boy used to be an insult, and now it's like an endearing like bond. I love that so much. So
no, I think the bromance was way better than the romance triangle thing. I'm not sure that it's over. I know that seemed like you can put a ring on it all you want. I don't know that is completely finalized. I'm glad that it seems finalized because it seemed like it was like distracting me. I don't mind love arrows because they're not. But I usually like those kinds of situations because I think it can add a lot of fun tension to a dynamic, but I wasn't seeing the point in it, and it was just distracting me from the other things. So I'm not entirely sure that it's over just because of some different lines, and I wish I had taken notes on them, but I was, again, like, there was a lot going on at that point, and it was all, but I guess a prediction of mine is I don't know that it's completely settled.
Yeah.
She still has those alternate perspectives, and
I mean, my immediate thought was that someone could die, and then I got upset. So
out of the three of them.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm sad. With Dalinar in this book, I know you guys have said that you really enjoyed his background, and I did enjoy like the narrative of his backstory, but at the same time, like, my least favorite thing about this book was the like fight scenes in his backstory, because I know that Sanderson can write a really good fight scene because all of the Mistborn ones are amazing, but just standard like swords and horses battle scenes I find so boring to read. And because of Dalinar's background of like being the Blackthorn and being like this prestigious warrior, it was just so tedious. No. I'm just not a fan.
Becca.
Totally fair. I was more interested in just like his marital drama. I was like, oh, this is big. Yeah.
I love those fight scenes so much.
I love that.
I reread the first one where he gets like shot and then he's like, that was excellent. I want this guy on my team. The assassin like shot him and he was so excited about it. I was like, I really also enjoyed the entire theme of the thrill throughout this, because they kept mentioning the thrill, and it was almost like this romanticized thing where it's like, this is your battle lust. This is what warriors are and what they do. Mm-hmm. War is inevitable, and this is what you do in war. And it was this romanticized concept that you almost looked forward to if you like a good battle scene. And and then you turn around and like you realize once he goes too far, which you could argue that all of them are too far, you know, you are left with him being like, oh, I didn't do this. This was the thrill. And then you're like, no, that place is on fire. Like,
yeah, that's one thing I actually really did enjoy was like, I think, like Dalinar's flashbacks and remembering a lot of his memories and his memories slowly coming back. I enjoyed just the process of that. I did enjoy his fight scenes. I enjoyed just how gritty it was and how like you'd have these like, I mean, it was very emotionally motivated because you'd have moments of just like oh, this thrill, and then he'd be like, oh no. And I actually really liked how disorienting it felt. And you could tell it was intentionally disorienting. And then when you find out about his wife and just fire and all that fun stuff, you're like, there is no way, like, this is insane. And I actually kind of want to ask you guys, because there's still a debate among lots of people as to whether Dalinar has been redeemed, specifically in Oathbringer. Well, I won't. Okay, yeah, we're talking about Oathbringer. Sorry, but like in Oathbringer, do you think Dalinar has been officially redeemed, or like what are your thoughts? Because some people are like, I can't forgive him, or I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Becca, you go first, or Codie, anyone.
I feel like, in terms of the fact that he killed his wife, he didn't know that he was killing his wife when he did it, which is a big one for me, because like he didn't murder his wife, like he accidentally killed her because he didn't know that she was there. And no, he shouldn't have like set fire to an entire city, but it's like it's war, and people do that, and that was his job to stop the rebellion. And yes, he went too far, but I still like him.
I'm with you. I think he's done enough good and gone through enough sins that we should all just cut him a break. He didn't know.
That's true. I have to say, like, after all 4 books and just seeing more of his process and journey, I'm like, man, everyone's messed up in this book. Like, I can't say I disregard his actions without disregarding others, and I also can't like acknowledge his you know, what he did was like he what he did was horrible, but you feel bad for him and you feel for him and you feel like, oh gosh, he's just trying and still messed up. And it's not, that's what I also like, is that his redemption or his process feels like it's just still going, and it's not something that's like, okay, I'm redeemed, thank you for your time. It's like, I'm still working with my sons. I'm still trying to gather Knights Radiant. I'm still trying to fix so much of my past and myself. And that's what I like. I love his effort. And just the quote, like, the best step, the the best thing a man can do is take another step. I'm not phrasing it correctly, but you know that quote where it's the next one, the next step. And I just am like, yes, like keep going, just keep going. And that's what I love. So he's changed to me.
I think the thing that was most surprising about him to me in this is that with him forgetting his wife, was she called Eevie?
Yeah.
He forgot everything about her. But I thought that he'd done it because he loved her so much and couldn't handle that he lost her. And to find out that their marriage was never really great, like that was the biggest shock, because I was waiting, because when you don't know that he was the one who actually killed her, I was waiting for him to fall in love with her throughout those perspectives. But their marriage like always struggled. They were never like particularly well matched and complete opposites of each other. So I did find that surprising, just because it was a complete shift on what I thought their relationship was going to be like, and like in comparison to what it actually was.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, I can get people deciding not to forgive or redeem, like feel like he's redeemed, but I feel like as far as redemptions go, his entire story arc is pretty much an example of like what redemption is and how you would have to achieve it. You have to own it. Like, you have to know what you've done wrong to begin with, and you have to know that you are the one that did it and decide to make that active change. And his entire thing was that he was doing that. It's his story arc is his actions towards that. And I feel like if you believe in redemption, because I believe some people don't, like some people are like, nah, you screwed me, you're dead, you know? So I do believe in redemption. I do enjoy that. I think actually my only qualm with the Eevie storyline was that she was kind of only there. I did think that they had a romantic bond of some sort, but I kind of had a thought after I was done and I was like kind of putting my notes together for Dalinar. I was like, yeah, through her, he was able to redeem himself. And then I was like, this is it's kind of a trope that comes up a lot with male authors of creating a female character meant to die in order for the male character to grow. And I did feel that she kind of fell into that category. I think that if the larger the thing that's helping me with that is the fact that there's the larger burning of the village and that he's taking on those people as well. Like it's not just her that he's redeeming himself from. But I did have a moment of that where I'm like, this kind of feels like, I think the term is fridging or something like that. It was just, that's the only problem I had with it, is I was like, I can see how potentially it could be seen this way. And it was little.
Yeah. I thought that at first too, but like Navani's like placement in this story and her relationship with Dalinar, to me, I almost like forgot about that whole trope. And I think it was honestly like the peak for, I don't know. And maybe it sounds horrible to say that, but like I genuinely like seeing, and it's not just among like male characters, but I genuinely like seeing when a character snaps because someone they care about has been like destroyed or all, like regardless of what category or trope it fits into. I think, I don't know, I like that Navani's placement in this story is kind of that like well, not so much replacement, more just like she's the right fit and she's the one who was supposed to like be there all along. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I really like that perspective actually.
Yeah, it was a journey of the head.
Yes, big thoughts. What did you think about the relationship between Dalinar and Navani after finding about Eevie? Ooh, I just loved how supportive she was. Like I just love Navani, and I'm really excited for you guys to read Rhythm of War because Navani is an absolute legend. And like it's so funny to compare book 1 to book 4. You're like, Navani is a legend, and I love her so much. And yes, Navani and Dalinar are just a better match. Like they just click and they work. And she still stands firm. Like definitely Dalinar. Eevie was like a pushover in so many ways, and Dalinar just was like, oh gosh, what is wrong with you? And I think Navani like stands her place and is like, no, like if you're gonna be with me, like we set boundaries, but we all, you know what I mean? Like I just think it's the perfect type of relationship where they're progressing and it's not just like this happily ever after. And I love their struggle, but they just work. Like they just are a perfect duo, and I love it. So.
I completely agree. I think they do a really good job of challenging each other while also accepting each other.
Yes.
Like Navani being like, we need to have this meeting now with these people, and Dalinar being like, well, I'm in a fight, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna read it to you here then. Like, okay, like them both doing their things that they do together, and it just being an odd mix of him like arguing pretty much on a phone call while sword fighting, and her being like, is that what you really want to say? Like, like I like their dynamic. I think that it seems like, I mean, nothing in this book is incredibly healthy, but like I feel like they have a good solid chance.
Yeah, for sure.
I had some reservations about them, just obviously because it's his brother's wife in Oathbringer at the beginning. But then by the time you read Rhythm of War, I feel like, yeah, I've settled into the mindset of, yes, I'm very happy for them.
For sure. What are you guys' favorite parts of Oathbringer? I know we talked about this a little bit, but is there a specific scene, or even if it wasn't like the peak of the story, what's like some of your favorite parts or chapters?
The end, just all of that, like, oh my god.
I think it's 5, all of part 5, but hold on, I swear I had just like a minuscule scene that had nothing to do with really the plot at all. Was Shallan as Vale doing the hand stab thing. I just think that entire bar scene was so much fun for me. I think that I'll enjoy it more because when I reread the book, because I did think that storyline was leading somewhere more than it did. But yeah, I I did like enjoy those kinds of scenes, and like just specifically when she puts like the hand that's meant to be this intimate thing and then she stabs through it, and I was like, oh god. Yeah, that whole tavern scene was pretty good.
The thing that's always stuck out in my mind about Oathbringer is just how we get to discover Yasna and what a powerhouse she is at the end. And I was like, ooh, yes. That always stuck out to me.
I
I'm
love
going through my blue tabs of what I've marked as like my favorite moments.
I love that so much. I have to say my favorite chapter, or one of my favorite chapters, I think so many people love this, is the girl who looked up, like when Shallan and Wit are together. He tells her that story. I just was like I rereading it, I cried more. And I was like, oh, this is such a good part. Like it just, yeah, I love his stories. And then I love when she just gets it. She's like, oh, okay. And then she's still messed up, but like, yeah, I there's so many parts that I love, but I really love his stories and just kind of the connections that other characters have to them. So
I really liked Teft. And like his big thing where he becomes radiant and I started crying. Just got me all kinds of emotional. And then the bit where Rock kills Amaram, without doing something else, it has like big last episode of The Mandalorian vibes.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like where somebody will do something that they wouldn't normally do for somebody else. That's like,
yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, the fact that like all the way through, I love Rock. He's my favorite Bridge 4 member apart from Kaladin, like out of them. Yeah, the fact that he has been so straightforward this entire time of being like, oh, that's not my role. That's not what I do. Like, that's what you do. You kill people. You do violence. And then like when he sees Kaladin down, like, I really liked, most of my scenes are the Dalinar scenes. The Night Watcher entire conversation, like the entire thing was so cool to both visualize, and the whole thing was, that was one of my favorite parts where I was just like, I just want to be like in this book. Like I did not want to associate with the outside world at all. I thought it was, I obviously didn't quote it correctly because this is me, but Dalinar straight up is like, oh, I'd like forgiveness, and the Night Watcher person is like, what else can I give you? Like, yeah, like just the way that like they're like, no, I'm not that all powerful. Like I can't give you that. Instead, like someone else is like, let me get my manager. We can try and help you out here. And he's instead just given a purging. It's like, you can just get forgiveness yourself.
Oh, yes. I like that we had like, I mean, I feel like we are technically getting like less Bridge 4 moments. So like I savor every moment that we get in these books. I'm like, yes, I'm like, please bring me back to Bridge 4. Also, would you like to destroy some evil today? I love that. I love seeing Szeth in this one, and I love seeing there's just like the moments that we got in the first two books, they slowly kind of decrease, so you savor them. Everything about Nightblood I love so much, like so
one of my favorite moments as well was when Dalinar and Yasna had a conversation about like being a heretic and religion, where they both kind of are now in this position because Yasna spent a long time being alienated for being a heretic, where really it's just like, I just believe these things for myself, and this religion wants me to believe something else for myself, and that's not who I am. And I really enjoyed that conversation that they had. But something else that I actually really enjoyed about this one is like how, you know how Brandon Sanderson always has these sayings like journey before destination, and then it becomes relevant to the plot, but like you didn't realize it was relevant to the plot until you actually like realize, like how it keeps saying never trust anybody who can see the future, and then you realize you've been trusting somebody who can see the future, and then you're like, oh my god, this person can see the future and I'm not supposed to be trusting them. That was like a big moment. And also realizing, even though I should have already realized it, that Dalinar's purpose is to unite them, and he's a bondsmith, which means that he unites things. And when that clicked, It was when Curtis was sat next to me and I yelled, "Oh my God, he's a bondsmith."
That's funny. I love that.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed like all of those moments and like linking up like the things that you think are inconsequential but are actually foreshadowing. Really enjoyed all of that towards the end of this. I got really excited.
I think that's maybe why Oathbringer's my favorite, because things just started clicking and we got those in-depth character moments and some arcs, and yeah, I think a lot of expansion of world in Oathbringer as well.
In terms of like Dalinar's purpose to unite them, what do you guys think he's trying to unite? Because I've had many theories throughout this, because he's focusing on the kingdoms, and I don't think that's what he's trying to unite.
I can't really say much, so
I know. I'm just watching Catherine's expression. I'm being like, "Yeah, Catherine, what is he uniting?"
Well, what do you think he's doing?
I had the two theories I had in this is that he either has to unite the humans and the Parshendi, or he has to unite the three realms, which he then, when he opened the thing that like bridges them. But then I still don't know whether he actually has to unite the humans and the Parshendi. But I think he's focusing on the kingdoms, and I just don't think that's going to work, and I don't think that's what he should be doing. But he doesn't understand what he should be doing.
I think, yeah. The thing. I know. I'm officially afraid of. I guess we talked about this before the live started. I'm officially afraid of Becca's theories, because she straight up in the last live show was like, "What if the humans aren't meant to be there? What if they're the ones?" And I was like, "Huh, yeah, that's an interesting concept."
But please write down everything you come up with, Becca, just so we have a list of like, okay, let's see what you got right.
My theories.
I love it.
Yeah. So I'm reading the book, and they're like, "Guess what? The humans aren't supposed to be there." And I'm like, I know. And
I was so validated. Like,
I just kept reading, not even, and then I was like, wait, we don't know that. This is like, she completely like stole this moment from me, because it just made so much sense when she said it. I was like, oh yeah, definitely.
It doesn't make sense. Like, if humans were supposed to be there, then all of the animals wouldn't be covered in shells. Like, it's not a habitable.
And the other like humanoid like creatures also covered in shell. Like, they're the only things not shelled. I just.
Interesting.
I wonder what could be happening.
It also,
I'm loving this. This is great.
It also made sense in the fact of like those murals of lions, but they don't know what a lion is because they've never seen them. But somebody must have seen a lion come to wherever they are and then drawn it. But it could never be them because they don't even know what it's called.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm really good at theories, and sometimes they're a little bit too wild and they just don't quite get there.
That's why they're theories. They're just out there. It's chaotic, but it's super fun. So can I ask real quick, what did you guys, Azure, Vivenna, other side characters, what were your thoughts on them? Or did you feel particularly intrigued by any side characters that we were introduced to?
I've been trying to work out who that is, and I'm not sure. Is it Vivenna? I don't know. I'm just like, Catherine, do something with your face.
Sorry, hold on. I just wanted say that again. I heard you, but then I zoned out a bit.
I was thinking at first that Azure was Vivenna, but I'm not sure if it is because it's never confirmed, although Vivenna is mentioned throughout this.
I mean, Azure is a world. I can't remember. Oh, don't forget about the chickens. I can't see some of these things. I'm like, wait, I remember certain things, but I also sometimes have to look up. Sometimes I think I'm competent at the Cosmere, but then I'll forget details and be like, yeah, I actually don't know what I'm talking about most of the time. But I think Azure is Vivenna. I think. Okay. Oh, Yasmin just confirmed. Oh, well, wait, you just confirmed. Okay, thank you. I was like, wait, yes, that's right. I think Azure
People are confirming.
Thank you. I knew that. I just couldn't remember.
Honestly, it has to be a group effort with this entire universe. I am so impressed like Catherine, like looking back, because I was kind of like looking at our live shows a while ago while reading, because I was like, what even happened in the first book? As far as like we did take a long time getting to this live show for various reasons. So I was like, what even were my thoughts? Because I'm so immersed in it now, but I feel so overwhelmed. And so I was watching, and I'm like, there's so much to remember and so many little connecting pieces and like moments that you really do need. Like, it's a group activity to read the Cosmere, because you need someone to be like, remember this, or but this, you know, like there's
lots of people on Reddit who get mad at you for like forgetting something. You're like, I'm sorry, I have school, I have a life, I love the Cosmere so much, but my brain is like,
I don't know my own universe as well as I know fantasy ones, but this one's like pretty expansive. Like,
I'm willing to dedicate myself to this, and I learn as much as I can, but I also am just like, I'm still stupid, and I don't know like what like there's so much I forget, and that's why I'm like, wait, and the archives of just like Reddit, Coppermind, so many different sites. I'm like, oh my gosh, thank goodness that there's people who have these like written down, because I forget just all the time.
It's really intense, and there's some bits that will go completely over my head, and then there's other bits that I'll fixate on, like the chickens. I've noticed that the chickens keep coming up, and I'm obsessed with the chickens.
Coppermind is something you had mentioned in the last live show, Catherine. It was being like, maybe use this, and I was like, okay. So I like looked it up. That is a really useful. If anyone else is reading it for the first time, I used it as soon as I was done with the book. I went back and read the summaries of the chapters. And it like, there were little things in there where I was like, because I wasn't paying attention in that way. I wasn't paying attention to chickens, like there's just, there's so much you don't know what to grab onto. I was really sidetracked by, I'm fine with Sadeas just being dead and there not being a huge redemption for him. Like, it's fine. I don't need Adolin to get like some like horrible punishment for this. He struggled enough having to solve his own case. Like, I'm like, it's fine. But I was sidetracked by that because I was so worried for him in that moment of being like, oh God, he killed someone, and even though he sucks, he's still a human being, and now we have to reflect on that. No,
I'm kind of surprised that everybody else was chill with it though. They're like, okay, fair enough.
I mean, he was really crap, and like Sadeas was not Adolin, but like as far as characters go, I really was totally like, I was like, all of Sadeas's flashback moments, he's not even like, I had thought him more kind of like the mirror image of Dalinar as far as like being just as ambitious, but he's not really that ambitious. He's very much so like this cheerleader of Dalinar. Like, he sees what Dalinar is and wants to be Dalinar, and then is just not able to achieve it. He's weak in so many ways to me. I just hated him so intensely that the moment when everyone is standing over his body or corpse and they're like, well, like, I was like, great moment.
Yes.
I had a theory that I don't know if it's a weird one.
Bring it on.
But I think people might be slightly touching upon it in the chat. I think the shards are people, but I can't fully form this thing because there's what part is it that it starts? What part is this? Do you know the bits before the chapters, the little sections are like letters about there shouldn't be two shards, there shouldn't be more than one shard in one place. But the way it's worded is no good can come of two shards settling in one location. It was agreed that we would not interfere with one another, as though the shards are people. So if the shards are people, then I feel like Wit is one and he's the one causing all the trouble because he's bouncing around in places he shouldn't be, which implies that Vasha would be another because he shouldn't be here either. And then I want to know who the other shards are because I'm thinking it should be at least one person from each series.
Oh my God.
if that is correct.
I'm not gonna say anything.
Really plausible. I'm sure that I'll just yell at you in the next live show.
Well, I will say, like, I mean, connected to the Cosmere and the shards of like Adenalsium, like the crab god who split, like I think, and I'm just double checking here, like each shard is a piece of power of creation and is a god of sorts. And so if you think about it with each Cosmere book, if you like kind of point to the god of that world, they are technically a shard. So, or a vessel of that shard. I don't know the exact difference, but Codie, you can also confirm or deny.
Yeah. So Becca needs to carry on with Mistborn, please.
Yes.
I want you to read Rhythm of War.
Yes.
I want you to read Rhythm of War, but before that, you have to read like 3,000 pages of like Mistborn. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool.
It will just be so satisfying to you, though, if you get to Rhythm of War, you get to the part that I'm thinking of, and you already have that knowledge. You will love it.
It's like after Rhythm of War, I was like, I sure hope everyone has read Mistborn because, like,
yeah.
Oh, it's so cool.
Good.
Okay, so I also only read the first of Mistborn.
Yeah.
And
it's not like mandatory, but it is something I definitely recommend at some point. Like,
I
I know
really
the readathon's been super messed up and like, well, not messed up, just like spontaneous and kind of overwhelming. I hope it hasn't been too overwhelming, but like, there's a lot to read, and honestly, do it at your own time as well. And so, yeah.
Yeah, you can enjoy them all individually, but it's nice to have the full knowledge. It's very satisfying.
Yes,
I know because of like how I like theories and crossovers and tie-ins. I will really like it if I read them all, but it's like, can I read Hero of It? Well of Ascension, Hero of Ages, and is it 3 books in the second era, and then Rhythm of War? Like, do I?
There will be a 4th book for the second era, but it's not out yet.
Yeah, yeah, and Secret History too.
Oh yeah, Secret History. If you read books 2 and 3 in the first era, and then Secret History, and then you did Rhythm of War, like that'd be pretty solid. That'd be pretty solid.
Okay, so the 2 books after the first one. So
yeah, you don't have to start era 2. I mean, you can, but it's not like it's okay if you wait on era 2.
Yeah,
it really is.
Okay,
yeah, I agree.
I'm writing this down because I think I'm going to try and do that.
Also, there's a big debate about Secret History after Era 2. Genuinely, I like actually recommend it before Era 2, but some people are like, no, you're supposed to do it after because it spoils. But I was like, actually, I really loved that I read it before Era 2. So I know people kind of get mad at me for saying that, but I genuinely, it's labeled as book 3.5. To me, it doesn't matter, even though it does. It's fine. It's fine. You know, do whatever.
I read it after Era 2, but I'm with you. I feel like it didn't spoil Era 2.
I really loved it before. Like it was a nice connection to me.
Yeah, no, it was good.
So, I don't know. I don't really care. It's all good, but
yeah.
Anyway.
I'm just writing down the 6 of the Dusk one. I don't know if I have that one. I think I've got the rest of them.
You can read Secret History after Rhythm of War. Yeah, no, you
so much
homework. Yeah, you can have the confirmation after. Like, here's the thing: like, when you eventually find it out, you'll eventually find it out and be like, "What?" But it's all whether, like, which order would you like to realize things? If that makes sense. Does that make so? I don't know. That's kind of the debate, but yeah.
I don't mind having unorthodox revelations. I think Dalinar is a really good example of this. Like, I'm like, oh, here's my favorite character, and then here's his story afterwards, out of order. You know, like, you come in towards the middle, you find out the end, and then you get the, it's just, I don't
kind of
mind.
a real person. Like, you don't know. I don't know your backstory. Like, where do you get where you're at? And you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. I think that was refreshing to see.
I do too. I don't mind. I've never actually minded, like, spoilers don't bother me in the same way. Like, sometimes I would rather not be spoiled for something, for sure. Like I'll be really careful every single time a Star Wars anything comes out. But like I think that I can enjoy something while knowing the ending because I'll like be looking for those foreshadowing and stuff, which is why I like to reread. Like I'm really looking forward to Jade in the way off future, 2 years from now, don't know, getting back to the first in this series, because I feel like all those interludes that I was like, what is that? Like, I feel like all of the things are going to make a lot more sense, and that entire book will make a lot more sense. Like, I think I'll like book one a lot more.
I think I worked it out with Brandon Sanderson's current speed of publishing the Stormlight Archive. How old did I say that I'd be, Codie, when he's finished? Was it 40 or 50?
I can't remember.
How old are you now?
27.
You will be almost 50. I will be 40.
Yeah.
I'll be 50.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. Man, I can't wait to go to the store and be like, my favorite book series is here.
Yeah.
It's not as old as people think it is. I don't know. Oh yeah, wait. Thoughts on Adolin and Maya? I'm looking at the comments. If you guys want to move on to that, but what are your thoughts?
I don't know if I felt much.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Like I want to see, like I want to understand more about that and stuff like that, but I didn't. I think I just kind of took it in as like world building and setup, and like I was like, okay, this is. I didn't have like a strong reaction to it.
I feel like it's just been introduced, and I need to know more before I can really think of anything. It was interesting though, and it was like a good point of humor when they appeared in Shadesmar, and it's just this big thing with no eyes that just screams every so often. That was fun.
Yeah.
Any theories, Becca?
Yeah.
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
That was
I'm
me too.
interested
Like,
in the fact-
I was like, cool. Oh, sorry, I interrupted you. You keep going.
It's interesting that they still have a bond. When the others are supposedly reluctant and don't want to be like used, and Adolin has somehow managed to form a bond, or I don't know. I don't know enough about it because this is the first time it's been introduced in this context to really have enough information to say anything. I'd be interested to see how it develops though.
Yeah. Solid. Any other like questions or things? Like my mind's kind of just drawing a blank today because there's just a lot. But is there anything? Oh, sorry, I'm laughing at a little comment. Is there anything like specific that we should talk about? I know we missed a lot, but like, I don't know. Any other like comments or stuff?
I'm a little stressed for Dalinar because I do feel he was redeemed. Because him being in a place of redemption and his story arc, while still moving, could be potentially satisfyingly fulfilled, leaves an opening for him to not have the same plot armor he had before. And so I'm a little like, I guess one of my theories is like that my man could die. I am like incredibly nervous because story structure. I guess one of my theories, like when he reached that point, when I was like, I am so proud of you, and I was crying and all of that stuff, I was like, but now you can die. Like you die, and people would be like, yeah, you got through enough. Like, I mean, Brandon Sanderson showed he was willing to let people get really close to redemption or redeeming themselves with Owlcrate, which is a whole thing I guess we didn't even really cover, which was like a big wow moment. But
oh yeah, what was your reaction to that?
Yeah,
why did we like
well, I actually thought that it was really well written, and it did make me emotional, even though I don't really like him.
Yeah.
Okay. The first time that Moash tried to kill him, I was kind of like sympathetic towards Moash. Now, yeah, exactly. Exactly. The second time he tried to kill him with the exact same, like, I'm not even quite sure if I have processed what changed in me, but I think it's the fact that Moash didn't change. Like, he had a chance of redemption and chose to just go off and do his thing anyway, and it was just that scene was really well written. It was it was like a lot.
I was so pissed when I first read it. I was like, what? And everyone was like pissed, but yeah.
And the fact that Kaladin froze as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that was a big moment where I was like, me too, fam. I don't know what to do. Like,
I was actually shocked that Moash did do that, because I thought, especially before the Parshendi came and took him away, I thought that he was maybe going to go back to them, because he was in the mindset of being like, oh, I had this great thing and I fucked it up. Like, I should have stayed with Bridgefall. Like, I had a family, but I ruined everything. So I thought that he was going to take the next opportunity he got to redeem himself, and then he killed Elhokar. So
yeah.
While Owlcrate was trying to redeem himself, like Owlcrate he cock blocked Owlcar's entire redemption.
Yeah, it's tough moments.
I have people who, like, before Rhythm of War, like, were like, oh yeah, I think Moash could be redeemed, and I'm really interested in hearing like I was surprised, like, after Oathbringer, I was like, are you sure about that? And then anyway, and I'm really interested in hearing, like, before reading Rhythm of War, like, what people's thoughts are on Moash, and then the more information you get on his character, you're like, this is super interesting, and I don't know. So
yeah, I'll be interested to see what y'all think after Rhythm of War too.
yeah.
What are your thoughts and theories on Taravangian? We haven't covered Taravangian yet.
I don't know, because he's not a bad guy. He thinks he's a good guy. He may actually be a good guy. Because I thought that he was like working directly in opposition to Dalinar, but he's not, because there's some points where his plans coincide with Dalinar and he will help Dalinar. So I'm just really confused about him, because the way that he approaches everything as well, it's kind of like critical, so it's not driven by emotion most of the time. And in this, once again, he proved that he can sometimes actually be a really good guy. So I'm just confused about him. I don't know how to feel, and I don't, because sometimes he makes sense and sometimes I'm just really not happy with what he's doing because it's upsetting me.
This is so funny. So funny for me. Oh,
I'm upset.
Sorry, my internet did get sort of bad, so if I disappear,
we're good.
it's
I think you're okay now.
inevitable. But I did hear. Just decide to come out of my mouth. But yeah, I'm not even sure if Taravangian knows if he's good or bad. He's really, like, his perspective every time it was happening, I was like, what do I feel about him? Because he really is like, okay, I'm trying to understand. He actually has moments where he is not in his right mind, or he is like, because they kept on having moments where they'd be like, oh, he's dumb today. I don't know.
But not.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, I can't tell. I'm like, are you playing pretend, or are you actually, like, I was in his perspective, I was like, oh no, maybe you are just like not great today. I don't know. I don't know him at all. And so therefore I decided not to trust him.
The way that they describe his thing about, like, his level of intelligence reminds me of serial killers and how there's like certain Codie's like what? You have like certain sides, like you've got your left brain and your right brain, and one is for feeling and one is for thinking. So his scale of intelligence seems to be which one he's leaning more towards, whether he's feeling or he's thinking.
That's yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Yes.
And apparently, if you're right in the middle, like a lot of serial killers have a brain where they feel and think equally, because they can rationalize everything that they're feeling. So they can, like, you can kill someone and be
so proud. I love this so much. Sorry, that's awesome.
I don't even. It's one of those things. I'm going to read Rhythm of War and be like, oh, I understand now. But yeah, apparently a lot of serial killers use both sides of their brain equally.
Yeah, you told me that. Yeah,
I love that so much. That's like perfect.
There was a comment, and it actually mirrors almost one of my exact notes. It was up further. It was talking about Shallan giving people paintings of their best selves, and like I legitimately, when Shallan like handed out, every single time she hands like out a, oh no, I guess I had a moment where I felt anxiety when she was handing, was it Adolin or was it, I'm completely blanking on who it was.
Adolin's looking for her sketchbook?
She handed someone, oh, it was Owlcrate. It was Owlcrate. That's what like, okay. So I had a moment of anxiety when they have a moment. He's like, I wish I could be a hero, you know, because that's like his thing. He's like, I want to try. And she gives him a picture of his best self, and he like is almost in tears over it. And I was like, man, this is a lot like that caravan scene, and that dude died. And then I was like, not really thinking about it actively until he died. And then I looked at one of my notes and I was like, yeah, he did die, didn't he? And then I was like, I wasn't paying attention any other time she's given people the paintings or her sketches of them. But those two moments were very, very similar. And I don't know what that means.
I'm intrigued.
But that seems unusual, and I would not want a painting.
Did she die?
Oh,
so.
Oh no,
good. You're back.
No.
I know. I'm sorry. I don't know where it cut off.
You're good. You're super.
Yeah, you're back again now. You're all good. Somebody's asked if we spoke about Lyft yet.
Yes.
Oh, I love Lyft.
I love her. I adore her. Some people don't like her. I'm like, I'm sorry for your loss. Like, she's wonderful.
Yeah. She's the best. She cares about his food, or seemingly only cares about food, and relatable.
I like her Spren, which is her Spren's Windle, isn't it?
Yes.
I like the dynamic together.
Yeah. Any Spren and the dynamic with that is just so entertaining and fun. I just love it.
That's it. We couldn't talk about this during the last live show because I'd read Edge Dancer, but Jade and Kaz hadn't. But now that Lyft is in the storyline, I feel like Lyft is a reference to Mistborn because she uses her powers the same way that they use theirs. Somehow. I haven't figured out how, but that's what I think her power, because she eats food and turns it into Stormlight, and they eat metal and use it to create their powers, or to like use the metal allomancy powers. So I noticed that in Edge Dancer, but we couldn't talk about it because Jade and Kaz hadn't read it. But I forgot.
I actually did talk with a friend about like theories, or at least like whether like magic system transfers to different worlds and stuff. And I mean, it's still something that is in debate because they're different worlds, even though you like Hoyd's whole point is he's collecting different magic. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just seemed interesting, especially as Lyft is the only one who uses magic that way. Everybody else like breathes it in or absorbs it. She still absorbs it, I guess, just in a different way she eats it.
Yeah. There's more to learn about Lyft, is all I'll say.
I love how Dan's just like I feel like they should mean
yeah,
something to me, but it's so cryptic that I just haven't figured it out.
Not just Hoyd.
Voidbringer's reveal. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, I called it.
Yeah,
Well,
Yes, you did. I'm so proud.
I didn't call that they were the Voidbringers. I was like kind of shocked when I made that connection that they are the Voidbringers.
Yeah.
Because I thought that the Parshendi were humans that had been turned into Voidbringers by Odium. And then oppressed by humans.
Mm-hmm.
Which made them seem evil, but they're not inherently evil, as we discovered in this book, where a lot of them are kind of just like normal people that have had to live whatever life they've had to live. But oh my god, when I found out that humans were Voidbringers, that just reminds me of in The Walking Dead when you get to the bit where Rick says, "We are the Walking Dead," and I'm like, oh wow.
I like that. A lot. What are other?
Yeah. No.
Oh, sorry. Keep going. I keep interrupting people.
Oh no, my internet's so bad. I'm just like at this point, I'm like nervously just trying to not mess
You're
everything
fine
up.
now.
You're
It's
fine.
good.
You're fine.
Okay, we'll see.
Okay.
You're all frozen.
Oh no. Are we really?
Yeah, it's
you.
fine.
You've cleared up
It's
like
fine.
enough perfect.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, I was pretty like that the Voidbringer part of that reveal was like a pretty like big moment. That entire everything's just coming at you at once. Like I felt like this book was very good at just fulfilling a lot of different questions. Hi, Kaz. Yeah, so I felt like that was all of the reveals felt really satisfactory, and I felt like I was like yelling a lot as far as being like, oh, or like what. So that was a good part of it.
She was on the thing by herself with everybody else, so I didn't see her. Oh no! How long have you been there?
We love you. It's okay.
I woke up 5 minutes ago.
It's okay.
Hello, everyone. Oh,
We're just chilling. Like it's just a vibe. It's okay.
fabulous. Great.
Oh yeah.
What were your thoughts? We want to hear like how did you feel about Oathbringer? Like real quick, or I don't know.
I really enjoyed it. It was definitely like very stressful though, especially the last half. It was just like, how can this end well for anybody? And then I'm assuming we're in spoilers.
Yes.
Especially with the attack on Dalinar and Odium and Dalinar, and I was like, no, you're not going to go there. Dalinar's not going to go bad. And then the flip-flopping everywhere was the most stressful thing, but it was really, really freaking entertaining. But oh my god.
I screamed when I thought that Dalinar was going to get possessed.
Yeah, I was like,
so
no,
upset.
no. Oh,
Thoughts on the Battle of Thalen Fields from Blake? What were your thoughts, Kaz? I know you talked a little bit. You were just stressed, but like, and other favorite parts. Like, what was one of your favorite parts? Was the end portion your favorite?
yeah, I think it was kind of like the section in the middle was my favorite, but I'm trying to think of specific moments because I do have things, but I don't have anything with me because I literally just scrambled out of bed and I don't even have pants on. I thought it was, I was in complete denial. Thank goodness it didn't go that route. I would have just been not okay with that. I really liked seeing Dalinar's history, and I think I really loved a scene where he loses his knife at that feast, and he just like walks out into the middle of the storm and accidentally, he's just like, I'm on a mission for my knife, and then comes back and inadvertently like reinforces Gavilar's point that he was trying to make, and it was just he's just so gruff and very straight minded and focused, and It was so cool to see him as he was beforehand. Very different man.
What about Eevee? What was your reaction to like the big moments to me? I want to hear your thoughts about are Eevee and Owlcrate.
Oh, I hopped in as you were just talking about Owlcrate, and it was like really sad. I was also kind of I wasn't quite in denial as much as I thought I would. It felt like it was very final with his death as well. But it was very sad. And I was the whole time, sorry, I'm not even answering your question, Blake. I'll get to it in a sec. But also the whole time I was like, but what about the sun? So I was very, very relieved to hear that.
Like he's carrying, I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot. Like rereading, I was like, shoot, he's carrying his baby. And like,
yeah.
I was just,
It was very, very stressful because obviously I was like heartbroken, and then Kaladin's whole response was also very emotional. But I was like, but his child just like fell from his arms. What happened to him? Is he still alive? Oh, bless his little. Because was it Bridge 4 that rescued him, or was it one of Shallan's guards?
I think wasn't it all of them? Because doesn't Kaladin go and rescue everyone that was left behind at the end, which was a really good moment. I enjoyed that as well.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, Eevee. That was very heartbreaking because I obviously wanting to have your memories removed. Obviously, there was some sort of traumatic death there, but I didn't quite click that it would have been his due to something that he'd done or an order that he'd made in a war, which was very, very sad. And especially since like he'd finally kind of listened to her at that one stage, and it just went so wrong because of the betrayal, and he just went on a full rampage, and it was just like so much death, so much destruction. Oh yeah, that was very sad.
Yes. I actually really quick need to say I actually have to pop off in like 2 minutes. I start work. So you're just gonna switch my place, Kaz. I'm
Yes, you
do. So if I just actually, you know what? I'm gonna get off now, actually, just so I can prepare some things. So I'll say goodbye, but like thanks for having me on, and I'm glad you made it, Kaz. I'm glad we got to talk a little bit. So yeah.
Bye.
Awesome.
Sorry.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Cool.
This lighting situation. Okay, there we go. That's a bit.
Test. Test who made me cry.
Oh, it was again so hard. The poor men of Bridge 4. So many, actually, quite frankly, so many of these characters have just been through so much, and it's just like with all of them and all of the things they do, whether it's like suppressing their memories or becoming addicted to things, like it's you can't blame them one bit, and it's my heart broke. And when Bridge 4 found him and they were like not judging him, and he just felt so ashamed, and I was like, I just love you so much, it's okay.
Yeah, I thought those moments with him were like really, really like hard, but really important. I'm glad that we got all of these different moments with these characters. I think that I again will enjoy it in the reread more because I was so like trying to get to the climax of it, but like the Teft moments are ones that I wouldn't put in that category at all. Like where I was like, oh yeah, I feel like we don't need to have this much time on pacing. Instead, it felt like these were like just really hard hitting moments. Like, and Teft's moments were so brief, and the fact that they had that much impact and were like so like to the point. I have a lot of family members who have struggled with addiction and stuff like that, and just depression in general, and it was just the way that it was done. I really appreciated. I liked how it was put forward and how natural the story arc was of it, and then like having them all come together and be around him, and like his I can't remember his exact quote, but saying like that he would fight for everyone, including people he hated, and even if he hated himself. It was just like, that is such a strong battle that so many people face, and like being able to put it in there like that, I don't know. And having that be like part of, I really appreciate the moment a lot.
Something that I don't know if I'm reading too much into with the whole thing with Teft is that he assumed that somebody who had the Bridge 4 jacket, and he thought that it was his that he'd sold. Do you remember that? I can't remember who had it, but Renarin has the corrupted Spren, and he's part of Bridge 4, so I wondered if it was maybe his jacket and not Teft's at all.
Oh, I don't know.
But I don't know if I'm thinking, because Teft was blaming himself for them having, they tried to kill Bridge 4. An assassin came in and tried to kill Bridge 4. But then I thought that it was maybe Renarin's jacket. But then Renarin's had like kind of been reaccepted, even though he's got a corrupted Spren now. So that's like, I wrote a couple of notes on it thinking that maybe it was Renarin's, but because it wasn't quite cleared up by the end. But then Renarin, it turns out, isn't a bad guy, even though his Spren's corrupted. But you just read it because we were talking about Teft and his jacket thing. Yeah, everyone's saying that it is Teft's jacket. Wasn't sure was my point, because he sold it. So he's assuming that because he sold a Bridge 4 jacket that it was that one. Whereas I thought maybe it was Renarin's, but then Renarin's a nice guy. I'm sad at what happened with him. It's such a good thing though, having it as Renarin, who was the one with the corrupted Spren, because you would never suspect him.
No,
Never.
No. Especially since I like that this magic system is interesting, because I feel like I'm trying to piece them together, but there's like overlap between the different the vocabulary is lost on me, but like the different powers that each person has, like there's an overlap where like one person will have healing, and then the next type of person will also have healing, but they'll have another power, and like they all like overlap.
That's right.
So it leaves room for like, you're not sure like if what they actually are, if they're only exhibiting one power. So,
that's very true. And and like you said, Becca, like I never would have suspected him, but it's not like there weren't clues, because obviously there were quite a few moments where he was obviously reacting weird or in his own mind quite a bit, but just my mind never went to the fact that something was wrong and it had to do with his Spren or the power.
When I found out later on, I noticed that we had been told kind of absent-mindedly. It was like a throwaway thing that was said, where Renarin was the one who was writing on the wall when Dalinar
that's right. The numbers.
And then there was the whole thing with don't trust anyone who can tell the future, who can see the future, which he obviously could. And then it turns out that he was untrustworthy. But this is the thing with Sanderson, why I love him so much, because he doesn't really hide anything from you. It's literally there, but it's just he mentions things in a context that's unrelated to what they actually apply to. So you don't, like, nobody ever said, don't trust anyone who can see the future when anyone was talking about or to Renarin. So you wouldn't put the two things together until, like, everything becomes more obvious. And that's one of my favorite things about his books. So far.
It's like the pieces are there. You just need to put it together. And usually it's when it's already placed together on the page.
And then you just feel really stupid.
Exactly.
Because it's really well written out too. Like, it's just like, it's a series that I'm really looking forward to rereading because of that. Like, I'm like, wow, because I remember thinking in my head, there's no way I'm going to read these books again. They're too big. Like, I can't read these books again when there's so many books in the world. But I'm like, this is a worthy undertaking, because I think it'll be like reading a whole new book.
Yeah,
Like-
and then you read the rest of the Cosmere and you see more connections as you go through Stormlight, and then it will really blow your mind.
And then you don't have time for any other books, and
This is true. Yeah.
and then you're a Cosmere channel.
I usually reread a series when the next book is being released, and I'm not going to be doing that with Stormlight because there's so much. But
Yeah.
I think for every book, I'm going to reread the book that comes before it until I'm almost 50 and the last book is coming out, and then I'll reread the entire thing.
That's a good plan. I really need to reread Warbreaker, I think, before we move forward with the next Stormlight book. There's like ones that I want to reread now because I'm like, is this going to be relevant? You know?
I do at some point, probably after Rhythm of War, I will go through and maybe reread all of the interludes from everything. They should make a lot more sense than they did the first time that I read them.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I have them on audiobook, and I saved each of the interludes like as like a bookmark tab, so I can just afterward, so that I can actually make sense. I haven't felt overwhelmed by the interludes the same way I was in the first one, though. Like,
I think a lot of them are a lot clearer than they were in the first one because literally no context at all in the first book.
yeah, exactly. No context. I was like, what am I reading? What is going on?
So many false beginnings. It was very
Yeah, and we definitely have a much more deeper understanding of the world and the Radiance now, so it's a bit less of a mystery.
Yeah.
I'm reading Dawn Shard this month and then Rhythm of War next month. Well, Codie wants me to read all of Mistborn first. So.
Actions, all I'm saying.
And
you'll like it.
Yeah, I'm going to finish Mistborn. I'm going to do Era 1 of Mistborn, and then I wrote it down. We talked about it a little earlier.
The one that Jan said as well, which is I've written it down. 6th of the Dusk.
Yeah. I haven't read Dawn Shard yet either, and I've already read Rhythm of War, so I'm like, what did I miss? I need to read
You must read Dawn Shard.
I know.
I think it's about Lopen, Dawn Shard, I think. And Rise, I think is what I was told. But I just don't like novellas. So I will read it for the information, but at the same time, like, I'm not looking forward to reading it because I just don't enjoy novellas all that much.
I like a novella, but I think I had to accept that I'm not going to be able to read these books to most people's liking. I'm just like, I'm doing as much as I can, and then I'm really looking forward to, over the course of my entire life, going through and reading all the bits and pieces and having it just come together that way. So I'm just going to live without the privilege of reading it in the most favorable way possible due to life restraints.
And those are stupid good novellas. I think Dawn Shard's only like 180, 190 pages or something, I think.
Not that bad, yeah.
See, people will consider that long because it's a novella, but I don't really like anything that's under 350 pages.
It's very specific.
Yeah.
Oh my
Well,
God.
I did a reading vlog where I read like a few 200-page books, and no. I need more. I need really, really chunky books.
Especially like alongside this series when they are so chunky they have to be split in two. It's like
such a commitment. The whole Cosmere is such a commitment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're stuck in it now.
Somebody asked a while ago what you think about Kaladin, Adolin, and Shallan as a thing.
I was worried it was going to go too far into that because admittedly, I don't think I've read many love triangles in quite a while. So I wasn't sure how I was feeling about it. And I'm glad it didn't go too far, but I did think it was quite interesting how it was kind of different parts of Shallan's personality were attracted to them in different ways. And I was a little surprised that the fact that Kaladin did kill her brother wasn't more of a thing after she found out. And it didn't seem to come up. Like, I think it popped up once after the fact when she saw him, but I don't think it really came up again. So I was a little bit surprised that didn't come into it and be a little bit more of an influence in that way as well. But it was, yeah, even though I'm glad it didn't go too far, I do also still enjoy the different relationships and banter that the two of them have. Like the snides that Shallan and Kaladin have are very amusing, and they just kind of keep going on. I've highlighted quite a few of those witty insults, but in a playful manner. I do enjoy that relationship. I was also just, my heart was breaking because Syl was like, Kaladin, go for it. And I was like, yeah, she's betrothed to Adolin. She's like, who cares?
Yeah, Syl doesn't care. That was, I did enjoy that.
Yeah.
Yasmin said, I think that the love triangle is just to highlight the identity issue she's having, which she really does have in this book. I think somebody said like exactly what kind of
Dissociative identity
DID.
disorder.
Yeah, DID. I just put like dissociation and a coping mechanism with the illusions, because she was like really relying on whichever one she needed to be at that time so that she didn't have to be herself.
And especially since it developed into a stage where she wasn't necessarily completely in control. Yeah, and there was like a couple of scenes where you could see all three of them popping out depending on what kind of response she was given or what someone was asking her in a conversation. Which was really
How
interesting.
do you feel about Shallan specifically in this book, Jade? Because I know is she still your favorite character? She's one of your favorite characters.
Do you say Jade?
Yeah.
Sorry. I was reading the chat and I was like, yeah, no, Shallan was definitely, it was a progressive situation for me, because I definitely, book 1, hated her, book 2, liked her, book 3, was just concerned for her at that point. Like, I was no longer like, I can't house an opinion about you because you are not okay. Like, we just need to get through this. Let's, yeah. So, yeah, Shallan's character for me was, in this book, it was like, I did enjoy watching her struggle through this, because it was such a unique story arc that my problem with her in the first one was that she wasn't interesting, and what foolish words those were. Like, I was like, yeah, she's not interesting to me. She's just kind of boring POV, and I'm like, what was that person? Who said that? So yeah, she's very, very interesting. I don't know where her character, like, that's why I'm kind of like leery on the love arrow thing, because I'm like, I don't know. She's so unpredictable. I don't know if her character is completely settled on Adolin and all of that. I think I was saying that earlier. Yeah, Yasmin's always got my back. I love Yasmin. Her channel's also really great. Quick shout out to I'm not active on my channel, but
it's interesting with Shallan, because I was complete opposite to Jade. Like, I loved her in the first book, didn't like her in the second, and now I like her again. I've stopped disliking her like I did in the second book, where I was just really not interested in anything that she was doing. But I still don't love her.
Becca, I want to buddy read with you, literally, so we can just argue about the same book. And like, I just have the exact opposite opinion the whole way through.
You know, I think it might be a Jade thing with me, because I'm friends with Jade Reads as well. And we can read the same book, give it the same rating, but anything that Jade loves will be the thing that I liked the least, and anything that I loved, Jade will love.
You're just prejudiced against Jades. That's what's happening.
Like, I can't enjoy anything that a
There's
Jade
no
likes.
depth here.
Shallan and Adolin at Endgame. I hope they are. I hope they are.
I really love the support that they show each other, and even if they don't completely understand, they're willing to listen. Like, I just really respect seeing that in a relationship.
I don't really care which one she ends up with. It sounds as unromantic as an Aquarius can be, but my thing is, like, I want Kaladin to be like okay enough to be in a relationship and have someone. I feel like he needs, like, he deserves that. Yeah, something that he deserves, and I want him to be able to get to a point of where it would be healthy for him to be in a relationship. Because right now I know he's just like, he's a real torn up boy. And so I'm just hopeful for him. I'm still in this. Like, I just give him someone wonderful. It'll be fine. It can be Shallan. It can be anyone. I saw Yasna earlier as an option. And
that's weird. Yeah, somebody said that in Way of Kings they thought that Yasna and Kaladin would be a thing. She would eat him alive.
Yeah. His soul.
He would be so broken afterwards.
He needs like a nice, like, Taurus. Dalinar would be great. But I don't see that working. What's the age? No. But yeah, he needs something.
Yeah, I never really, I like the banter between them, but I just don't see them together. Like Shallan.
I can't see it as being like a long-lasting, healthy relationship.
Yeah, they don't stay. Yeah, there's not enough stabilization.
Yeah, that's all I really want for Cal as well, I think.
What did you feel about Vale's adventures in Kholinar? That whole Kholinar thing, it kind of frustrated me a bit because I was really into the plot, and then they all went to Kholinar and just all went their separate ways and just started doing their own thing. Which was frustrating. I don't like Vale very much. I don't think I think I like Shallan. It's just Vale that I don't really like.
So Vale's one of my favorite, obviously. I shouldn't even talk in the chat. Just Becca says something, just know it's the exact opposite. I liked all of Vale's scenes. I thought that they were like, I like Vale's character a lot.
The other one, what's the other one called?
Radiant. I like Radiant the best.
Radiant. I just never really saw. She feels like just a potential Shallan, like what Shallan could be in 5 years, 10 years, maybe.
I think she's inspired by Yasna. She's kind of what Shallan sees Yasna.
Yeah, I like Radiant for the fact that when Shallan is creating her, she actually pulls back a lot of Yasna's like influence. She's like, no, and then she even makes like, I actually really like that scene as far as like a Shallan Adolin scene, because they're like together and she's like, oh, I can compromise. I can be this part of myself and show this part of myself to him. Like, she feels comfortable enough around Adolin that even though she's created like this radiant, like beautiful form of herself where it's like hard and strong and like everything she wants to be, she actually still pulls those things back and allows herself to be as much of herself as she is comfortable with at that moment. So Radiant isn't that as far from her as Vale is, which is an interesting concept. Shallan is just real interesting.
Yeah, she is.
I was just going to say, slightly off topic, but another one of my favorite scenes is when she's first stealing food and she takes on the appearance of like the woman of the house and then freaks her the fuck out. When she gets caught, almost caught, and then just like puts on the appearance of that woman and then the face just starts melting.
This is interesting.
Yeah,
She seems to allude to that as well. Like she believes that as well.
I think that, and I mean, it's kind of just true. I feel like because she's not able to be fully Shallan at any point, really, they are all just facades of her, because they all are a part. Like the things she sees in Vale and the things she sees in Yasna are things that she values and can find in herself. She just can't bring them all together.
Yeah, because the thing is as well, like all she's doing is really making herself look different, and then because she looks different, she is then acting different, but those traits come from her.
Yeah, no, I actually, that's, now that I'm thinking of it, like that's an area of her that I actually really identify with, which is a concerning concept. But like when I'm putting on like my clothes and makeup, and like I really am thinking about it methodically. I'm not just like, oh, I put eyeliner on each day. I go, what kind of person do I want to embody today? Is it someone who needs eyeliner? You know, do I need a strong cat eye to get through this conversation? Or do I need, you know, like, should I be wearing a Dragon Ball Z shirt so I feel comfortable? Or should I be wearing something frilly because I like it and it's pretty? Like, it's really like trying to embody the different parts of yourself and what you need in a moment, but being comfortable and knowing that those are all parts of herself. She doesn't realize that they are parts of her, and that the Shallan that she walks around with is still only a part of her, and that Vale and Radiant are also her. So that's the disconnect, is like the self-awareness of that.
Yeah, and especially since for so many years she has been hiding a huge part of herself and her memories. It's like she hasn't allowed herself to fully be herself as well. Because of huge trauma.
I'm looking for a question that I've lost. It was essentially, what do we think about the story that Wit tells to Shallan? Is it the girl who looked up?
Oh, good. Yeah.
That gave me very Elantris vibes with the wall.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was not a fan of that story generally, and I do just think it is because of how my brain works. Because I'm good at like sifting for clues to like plot stuff, but I'm not very good with metaphor and ambiguity. So I think trying to sort out the metaphor and what the story was like, what Wit was trying to tell Shallan through the story, I just couldn't get it. So I didn't enjoy that. But I anything like metaphor, anything that's like magical realism, fabulism, I just can't do it because I don't get it. I don't understand.
Oh, those are my
How much
favorite.
did you love it, Jade?
Explain that. No, I liked that entire scene. I really liked that entire scene. I think it was in my favorite scenes for sure. And I actually, the entire relationship between Wit and Shallan is one that I didn't expect to really care about, but since the beginning, it's been like a highlight when they are on the page together. Something like chemistry wise, as far as like just two people in a room, really click. Like I was not expecting to even when I didn't really like Shallan and she like runs out of the carriage and hugs him in the last book, I was like, oh, that's really cute. And I'm like, you don't care about Shallan. Shut up. Like, but I immediately melted, and I felt like melted in that scene. To put it in as much metaphor as possible for Becca's benefit.
Yeah, because I think like she feels very comfortable with him as well, and like really values his opinion as well, because he's able to kind of see the real her without her needing to say anything. And it was, I found that scene really heartwarming as well. And just, yeah, he wasn't completely his hilarious, funny, witty self, but he actually was trying to help her see herself. the way that other people see her too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love their relationship so much.
Hmm.
It's one of my favorites.
Oh, Yasmin brings up the Ghost Bloods thing. I will probably think that this is a dumb statement later when I rewatch this and have read books on, but I kind of stopped caring because there were so many other things going on that I keep forgetting about the Ghost Bloods. Like, they were mentioned and then they're continuously mentioned, but I'm feeling further and further disconnect from intrigue, I would say. Like, I'm less intrigued by them than I once was, and I'm wondering if I'll be able to gain that back or not. Possibly due to pacing, but also just.
That's what I'm laughing at.
I know, I saw your face, and I'm just like, ooh, okay.
I know.
We're in for
This
something.
is what Sanderson does, though. The misdirect. You know, you won't care, but you will care eventually. Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Actually, I think that's the other part of this being a communal conversation at all times with this world, is because sometimes I actually need to know if I need to care, because otherwise, if I find out that I don't need to care and I've invested time, I will get a little, I get irritated. So knowing that I should still continue to care will help me care enough to get validation from it later.
Yeah.
Tell me how to read.
I'm kind of like that. It's like how the chat was asking about the story that Wit tells Shallan, and I was like, well, if I'd have known that I was supposed to care about that, then I would have actually tried to figure it out. But yeah, it just went right over my head. You should assume you need to care about everything, which is the thing. But there's just so much. Like, I can't.
There's so much. I only have so much room in my heart. There's not. It's not a really ambivalent place. Like, we have to narrow it down. But I'm Ghost Bloods in there.
It's just so much. It does start to hurt your head when you try and connect everything. You need a conspiracy board. You need to map it.
Did you figure out that cryptic clue that I gave you, Codie, about chickens, that I couldn't tell you because we were in a group chat with people who haven't read Sanderson?
I don't remember this.
I can tell you told me something about the chickens, because the chickens are parrots, if we're talking about those chickens.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And I said to you that there was a character that the parrots remind me of, and it is the guy at the beginning of Warbreaker who...
Yes, I remember, yes. And apparently there's also a story in Arcanum Unbounded, which also will clue in as to why that's a thing, too.
Okay. Because that's what the chickens remind me of. So I'm like, is that relevant? Because it's already in my head. Or is it just the Arcanum Unbounded thing?
I still do not know. But I'm very intrigued by these chickens.
Oh, I just remembered this.
Yeah.
Good.
Patton was hilarious.
Got an inspired hoodie on today, which says lies.
Amazing.
Cool.
We need a diagram like Taravangian had.
Mm-hmm.
Both of the chickens. Good to know. Good to know. I need to reread Warbreaker.
Both chickens, cool.
I love how many of these chats are just the word chicken. Like, I'm just I'm scrolling up being like, oh, did we miss anything? And I'm just like, it's just the word chicken.
Look at all those chickens.
Where did you get your hoodie from, Codie?
It was a birthday present from the Fairy Loot team, but I think Redbubble.
Okay, I was gonna say that's really I love that. I love subtle rep of things where people look at it and be like, what?
What does
it's
it
not
mean?
just like Stormlight Archive. Yeah. So that's
In Warbreaker, there's a character that has several animals throughout the book, and one of them is chickens, but isn't a chicken, obviously, because chickens aren't chickens. So unless is there anything else anyone feels like we need to cover?
theories for Rhythm of War. What do you think is going to happen? Who do you think are going to be POVs? I'm interested to see what you guys are expecting from it, because it was different to what I expected. So
I always feel weird trying to theorize ahead, because I'm like, there's so much that happens in it, and like especially with this one, it was like, this feels like the end of the world. How does it continue?
I'm spacing on her name. Is it Azure?
Azure.
Oh, Azure. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like she seemed really prominent in like once she was established, which was, it felt like late in the book, but it's such a large book that I don't actually know if that's true anymore. But I feel like it seemed like there was a lot of chance for that to become a more prominent POV.
Especially since she was like looking for the sword that that Zeth has.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited for her to meet up with Zahel of Russia when they finally meet. I think it's going to be interesting if we see it, because there is also the chance that we just might not see it.
So yeah, that's part of the it's hard to predict these types of things, because I really I'm like, it could go so many different ways. This book didn't go any of the ways I expected. Like, well, for the most part, I wouldn't have even conceptualized this. So I'm officially kind of like scattered as far as like major, like where it will go. I think when you brought up earlier, Becca, like, what is Dalinar trying to unite? I feel like that will be a concept in the next one, as far as like, what do we do now? Because what do we do with all of this information we just gained? Because this was the least info dumpy book with the most information. Like this was, and at no point did I feel like I was being info dumped on, but there was constantly shit being dumped on me. So I feel like those things all need a place to go and to be like figured out, and that the next book will be like, so what now? Now that we have all of these large concepts, you can't just have people here and Parshendi here and be like, well, anyway, sorry about the slavery and colonization. Whoops. We've been here for a long time, so we just get to stay now. Like, there's a lot that has to happen.
Because there's no like easy solution to that.
Not when you are so many generations of like both people living and like being established there and not knowing what another home is, regardless of how their generational, like their ancestors got there. And then you also have the fact that they are there and they shouldn't have been, and what they did while they were there.
Yeah, exactly.
Just slavery. So
I'm intrigued about Venli having bonded a Spren, because I thought that she was going to be like the parallel to Renarin, which she kind of is, but Renarin hasn't been cast out or killed or anything. He's been accepted, even while having the corrupted Spren. So I'm wondering if that's going to happen to Venli, or whether she's going to come over to the good side with, what's the other guy called? Is he called R'lain? Yeah, R'lain. He's the other Parshendi that they have on their side. So I'm interested to see what's happening with that. I also want to know more about Adolin and his sword.
Yes. Yes.
Maya or Maya. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, seeing her in the Shadesmar was like confronting. To actually knowing that it's a dead Spren versus literally seeing it.
Yeah. Being like, oh, it screams every time I take it out, versus watching it scream was a difficult moment for both myself and Adolin. Like it was like,
But I love that even before kind of knowing that, he always talked to it, and then he starts like thanking the sword as well.
Yeah.
He just feels so guilty.
Yeah.
I'm Trying to think about if I have any theories about the other perspective. I'm excited about the Cosmere stuff because I know that book 4 is the one that's supposed to more explicitly connected to the rest of the Cosmere as opposed to like the little hints that we've had so far. So I'm really excited about that. But that means I have to read all of Mistborn, I know.
Yeah, but again, it is just a lot more hints. It just leaves you with more questions for book 5, really. Everyone just turns into after this.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I'm surprised at all, because I feel like I have things answered and then double the amount of things I now have questions about.
I
wonder.
Go for it.
I wonder if Sanderson continues the trend of revealing something that's been a big mystery in the first chapter of Rhythm of War, like he has done. Because in Words of Radiance, he told us what Spren were in the first chapter. In Oathbringer, he told us why they killed Gavilar in the first chapter.
Oh.
Yeah, there's some reveals quite early on, I'd say. Rhythm of War.
He's done it like he does it in Skyward as well. Like at the end of Skyward, like everything's a big mystery, and he's like, "So this is what happened," and it's just frustrating to be confused about something for so long, and then you just find the answer, and it's like, right, okay.
I
And
will
it's like,
say,
okay, but what are the big bombs you're going to drop then? If that was such a huge mystery, what else you got lined up? That's terrifying.
Yeah. I will say you get more info on the magic in this Rhythm of War, which is nice. So you get a little understanding of like how the world relates to itself, which is cool. So
I don't know if you've talked about this, but I'm also very curious about what the humans did before coming to Rosha and which world it was they destroyed. Because I was like, obviously there's connection to Warbreaker, but it also sounds like there's connections to Mistborn. And I'm like, where did they come from? Is it one of the worlds that we already know?
I feel like it could be Warbreaker because we know that we have 2 characters in the story now that are from Warbreaker, and there's going to be a sequel to it that he won't publish until he gets so far into Stormlight.
Yeah,
and he'll publish that.
Yeah. That's what I suspected as well. It was like, oh, is it Warbreaker?
I know it's kind of an obvious prediction, but I feel like okay, Kaladin being like one of the main characters, I wouldn't have bothered to predict him progressing in this book, but he actually kind of is pretty linear. Like he doesn't progress really in this book in the same kind of way the other characters do. Like I feel like his arc was kind of paused a bit, and we didn't get his perspective as much, and I feel like we'll probably lead back into that. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how else to put that. Like it seems dumb to be like, I think that the main character will progress, but it's like, in this one, I don't feel like he did as much. Like as far as like compared to the other characters and compared to his growth in the other 2 books, I feel like we'll probably need to come back to Kaladin in a more firm way than we did in this one.
I need to reread Elantris. I read it in 2018, I think, and it was the first one I read, so I didn't have the context of everything being connected, so I didn't even realize that Hoyd was in it until I discovered who Hoyd was, and then had to look up where he was because I just completely missed him. So an Emperor's Soul as well, I've read that, and apparently that has quite a few connections, but I remember nothing apart from she's trying to give the Emperor a soul. That's all I remember about that, because that was about 2018 as well, I think, when I read that.
Ooh. Blake says about Kaladin's arc. Favorite thing. Yeah.
Oh God, I'm really excited to see how you all feel about it and how many times you'll cry. Just as a heads up.
Oh no.
How many times did you cry at Oathbringer?
Me?
Mm.
I don't think I actually cried.
I'm
Which
surprised.
is shocking because I'm usually a mess. But I've also been reading it like for 10 hours a day for the past 3 days. Because I did it again. I don't think I actually cried.
I'm not a crier for books. In this one, I wouldn't say I cried twice, but I definitely I had like moisture come at my eye. Like I felt the prickle of tears for Tef's scene, and then I actually legitimately was crying in bed last night while Dalinar was doing his like owning his pain moment. You can't have my pain and stuff like that. There was just something like in that. Just at the very beginning of that chapter, that whole thing where he's literally just screaming like that he did it and that he wants to have it and that like that he needs to take that on. Like that moment felt like such a catharsis, and I was so afraid for him. Like internally, like I was afraid for him, like as a person, not even like I wasn't afraid of him dying. I was afraid of like what he was going through, that I definitely was like legitimately crying, which scared my partner, who knows I do not cry during books. Okay.
Yeah, that was a super powerful moment.
Yeah. So
heartfelt moments in Rhythm of War. That's what I mean by like there's just gonna be parts that will kind of hit you in the soul a little bit. So prepare.
Great.
I'm tempted to do a spoiler vlog for Rhythm of War, but I just know how long it's going to be. It'll end up being over an hour.
Do it. I'd watch it twice.
Hell yeah.
But I'm just thinking how long my normal spoiler vlogs are. So like for 500-600 pages, they're about 40 minutes. So we're looking double long. With all of the intricacies of Brandon Sanderson and the Cosmere and theories.
Yeah. Okay.
Next updates, Becca, as you're reading, please. You must be messaging me your theories.
But as far as pacing goes, Becca, your vlogs are really well paced. Like when I watch your vlogs, it's crazy because it is technically, I'll be like, am I going to watch 40 to like 60 minutes, Becca? Like, is that what's going to happen? But you do really, really well. Like you have your inserts of lifestyle, and then you really focus in on like the main parts of the book. So I am also demanding your spoiler vlog.
Thank you. when I think about my vlog pacing, it's all unintentional aside from I'll think, oh, I haven't done B-roll in about 4 days, so I'll do something aesthetic, and that's it. That's the only thing.
Don't even tell me that.
Like, oh, make a nice coffee. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I guess I'll make a spoiler vlog because
excellent.
I just gonna, oh god, just the editing of it. I just don't like editing spoiler vlogs because when I've read a book, I kind of lived it and it's like, okay, I'm done with this now, but then I have to edit through it all again. And then the annoying thing where you have a theory and then you find out it's wrong, but you have to keep it in the vlog because you thought it at that point, even though it's completely wrong. I hate that.
Yeah, I hate that as well because I also hate annotating theories just in case I'm wrong. But it's like, no, it's legitimate. There's a reason I thought it.
Yeah.
I'm also, because I'm planning on doing one as well, because I also got sent a copy of Rhythm of War, and I'm like, that's going to be my review because there's no way to concisely talk about this. But because for books 1 and 2, I did reading vlogs because I was trying to do hourly check-ins to actually make myself read the book in time. And so I have about 4 hours of footage for both of those, and I haven't edited them or uploaded them because the thought is so daunting. So we'll see how this goes.
Well, maybe you should just do like one feature film length vlog of the entire thing.
That's what I'm thinking of doing, but I didn't vlog I started vlogging for book 3 and then just I had to read it too fast, so I didn't stop to take breaks.
Okay, so I think that might be about it. Anything else?
Yeah, I'm tapped out.
This is the longest we've done one of these. We're normally like about an hour and 20 minutes, I think.
Yes.
So we're getting a while.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Amazing.
So I don't know when Rhythm of War is going to be. If I have to read the entire Cosmere, maybe by the end of the year. Get it.
Have to, but I would advise.
I'm now tempted to do that as well, but
I am as well. I feel like we might need to, as a group, have a possible conversation in the Twitter chat about
skipping back.
Give me a deadline and I will stick to it.
We're so chaotic at this point. Like the people who have been joining us through these lives, I just have to say, like, thank you so much because I have not felt the pressure or like I have only felt patience, and I'm like, what is wrong with you all? Like how I would have been like so like I
love that.
Yeah, it's going to be quite chaotic because we'll have gone Elantris, the Final Empire, Way of Kings, Words of Radiance, Oathbringer, Well of Ascension, Hero of Ages, possibly back to Rhythm of War, or actually somewhere else like Mistborn.
I mean, but it's already so bad. I'm kind of like, I know that the Taurus in you, you're like, but the Aquarius in me is like, we should just lean into the weird. We're already there. We're going to talk about it later. We don't have an audience.
Yeah. So that's the end of this live show, guys. Might see you soon for Rhythm of War or the Well of Ascension. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys for watching. The next one will be on Kaz's channel, I think, whatever it will be. And Catherine will keep you posted on the Twitter.
Yep.
But yeah, thank you.
Bye.